If something in these words has awakened a recognition in you, if you've glimpsed the difference between collapse and true connection, then make this commitment to yourself now. I choose love that expands me, not diminishes me. I choose connection that honors my completeness, not exploits my emptiness. Write this affirmation in the comments. I am not falling in love. I am rising into my truth alongside another. This isn't semantic wordplay. This isn't philosophical abstraction. This is the radical difference between love as mutual evolution and love as mutual disappearance. Between partnership that elevates and partnership that erases. Between connection born of strength and connection born of fear. Remember, the greatest love affair is not with another person. It is with life itself, with your own becoming, with the endless unfolding of your own depths, with the continuous revelation of your own capacity for wonder, growth, and transformation. When poet Mary Oliver asks, "Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" she isn't asking what relationship you'll enter. She's asking what essence you'll express, what unique gift you'll develop, what singular purpose you'll pursue. The relationship may be part of that journey, but it cannot be the journey itself. It cannot be the destination. It cannot be the purpose. Your purpose isn't to be chosen. It's to become choice-worthy through the cultivation of your authentic self, not for others' approval, but for your own integrity. Your purpose isn't to be completed by another. It's to recognize the completeness that already exists within you, waiting to be acknowledged, waiting to be lived, waiting to be shared from overflow rather than sought from scarcity. Continue watching for more explorations of what it means to love from wholeness, not from wounding, what it means to connect from abundance, not absence, what it means to rise into love, not fall into dependency, what it means to dance with another without losing your own rhythm, what it means to stand in your sovereignty while joining in partnership, what it means to share your journey without surrendering its direction. The true revolution is not finding someone who completes you. It is becoming so complete in yourself that love becomes not a desperate need, but a deliberate celebration, not a collapse, but an expansion, not a fall, but the highest ascension of your sovereign spirit, not the frantic reaching for rescue, but the generous offering of recognition, not the death of the self in service of attachment, but the rebirth of the self through authentic connection. In the ancient words of theologian Meister Eckhart, "The eye through which I see God is the same eye through which God sees me. My eye and God's eye are one eye, one seeing, one knowing, one love." This is not about religious devotion, but about the profound truth that the capacity to love and be loved authentically comes not from finding the perfect other, but from recognizing the divine wholeness already present within yourself. It is from this recognition, this deep acknowledgement of your inherent completeness, that true love becomes possible. Not the desperate grasping of the drowning soul seeking salvation in another's arms, but the joyful recognition of two complete beings choosing to witness and celebrate each other's existence, not falling away from yourself into someone else, but rising into your fullest self alongside another doing the same. This is the invitation, not to perfect your ability to attract love, but to perfect your capacity to embody it. Not to master the art of being chosen, but to master the art of conscious choosing. Not to disappear into relationship, but you're not falling in love. You're collapsing into yourself. You call it love. This magnificent surrender, this desperate reaching, this addiction to another's presence. You call it love, but it's not. It's collapse. It's dependency disguised as connection. It's the terrified child in you searching for completion in someone else's arms. What you name as love is often your emptiness seeking to be filled, your wounds seeking to be healed, your fears seeking shelter, your self-rejection seeking validation, your incompleteness seeking a false wholeness in the validation of another's gaze. Look at how you transform when they enter a room. Look at how your voice changes. Look at how your laugh becomes a performance. Look at how your opinions soften or sharpen to please them. Look at how you become smaller, bigger, different, anything but yourself. Is this love? Or is this the erasure of your essence in service of attachment? You check your phone 60 times a day, hunting for their messages like a starving animal. You analyze their words for hidden meanings. You catalog their movements for signs of withdrawal. You meticulously engineer your responses to maintain their interest. This frantic choreography of anxiety and anticipation, you call this love? The abyss inside you doesn't disappear because someone else stands at its edge. The void within doesn't fill because someone else witnesses it. The hollow spaces in your chest don't suddenly bloom with completeness because someone else's heartbeat temporarily drowns out the echo of your emptiness. The greatest deception isn't that others lie to you about love. It's that you lie to yourself. You mistake dependency for devotion. You mistake anxiety for passion. You mistake the relief of not being alone for the joy of genuine connection. You mistake the momentary silencing of your self-doubt for the authentic peace of true partnership. What you call falling in love is often falling away from yourself. This beautiful collapse, this magnificent disintegration, this socially celebrated form of self-abandonment that we've collectively agreed to call romance. Since childhood, you were taught that love means sacrifice, that love means putting yourself last. That love means tolerating discomfort, disrespect, even betrayal, all in the name of commitment. You learned that loneliness is failure, and that any connection is better than standing alone in your truth. You watched fairy tales where princesses waited to be rescued, their existence meaningless until validated by a prince's arrival. You absorbed romantic comedies where the protagonist's life was empty and purposeless until that magical moment of coupling. You internalized song lyrics that glorified obsession as devotion, that celebrated possession as passion, that confused desperation with depth of feeling. Society celebrates your romantic desperation. Films glorify it. Songs immortalize it. Religions sanctify it. Find your other half, they say, as if you were born incomplete, as if you were meant to be a fragment seeking wholeness in someone else's existence, as if the natural state of a human being is brokenness rather than wholeness, as if your purpose is completion through another rather than expression of your already complete self. Your parents modeled it, this dependence disguised as devotion, this silent suffering celebrated as virtue, this slow death of the self presented as the ultimate sacrifice for love. You watched as they diminished themselves, contorted themselves, abandoned themselves, all in the name of staying together, all in the name of maintaining what they called love, but what looked suspiciously like mutual imprisonment, and now you perpetuate it. You chase the high of being chosen. You endure the anxiety of possible rejection. You tolerate behaviors that diminish you. You call your fear of abandonment attachment. You call your need for constant validation passion. You call your willingness to erase your boundaries compromise. You call your habitual self-betrayal patience. You mistake their jealousy for love rather than recognizing it as insecurity. You mistake their possessiveness for devotion rather than seeing it as fear. You mistake their need to control your movements, friendships, and choices as care, rather than identifying it as the terror of someone who doesn't trust in their own worth enough to grant freedom. The relationship becomes your identity. Their approval becomes your worth. Their mood dictates your peace. Their presence determines your value. Their attention measures your desirability. Their rejection confirms your deepest fears. Is this love? Or is this the most sophisticated form of self-abandonment you've ever known? You disappear so completely into the relationship that when it inevitably ends, as all things must, you find yourself a stranger in your own life. Who were you before them? What did you love before loving them consumed your every thought? What parts of yourself did you sacrifice at the altar of attachment? What dreams did you abandon in the name of compromise? What voice did you silence in service of harmony? Nietzsche spoke of human beings as bridges, not endpoints. You are becoming. You are a constant crossing over into new versions of yourself, but when you collapse into another person, you stop crossing. You freeze in place. You crystallize around their existence. The river of your potential stops flowing. The bridge of your becoming crumbles beneath the weight of your attachment to them. In Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Nietzsche writes of this danger. One must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. But in romantic collapse, you sacrifice your creative chaos for the false comfort of fusion. You trade the difficult beauty of your perpetual becoming for the sedative pleasure of belonging to another. You exchange the vertigo of freedom for the drowsy warmth of dependency. Schopenhauer understood this when he wrote of romantic love as nature's grand deception, a biological imperative disguised as transcendent connection. The feeling of destiny you experience when meeting the one is not the universe confirming your soul's recognition. It is your body's clever strategy to perpetuate the species, wrapped in the intoxicating paper of romantic mythology. What is love if not the celebration of two separate journeys that choose to intersect, not to end each other but to enrich each other? What is love if not the courage to remain whole while witnessing another's wholeness? What is love if not the strength to stand firmly in your sovereignty while honoring theirs? The philosopher Khalil Gibran wrote, "Let there be spaces in your togetherness." But in collapse, there are no spaces. There is only fusion, suffocation, the slow death of individuality under the weight of attachment, the gradual erosion of boundaries under the pressure of intimacy without separation, the quiet disappearance of the self beneath the comfortable blanket of we. Rilke knew this when he wrote to his young poet. Love consists in this, that two solitudes protect and touch and greet each other. Not that two solitudes dissolve into one amorphous mass of identity. Not that two solitudes desperately cling to each other in fear of their own separateness. But that two complete beings recognize and honor the sacred territory of each other's essential aloneness. True love is not possession. It is not absorption. It is not the frantic attempt to secure another's presence in fear they might leave. True love is freedom, recognition, the sacred acknowledgement of another's separateness, the profound respect for the unknowable depths that exist in every human soul, depths that can never be fully possessed, mapped, or claimed by another. You don't need completion. You need connection that honors your completeness. You don't need rescue. You need relationship that celebrates your capacity to save yourself. You don't need someone to fill your emptiness. You need someone who respects your fullness, even the full depth of your wounds, your darkness, your magnificent chaos. The ancient Greeks understood this complexity. They didn't have just one word for love, but many. Eros, the passionate desire. Philia, the deep friendship. Ludus, the playful affection. Agape, the selfless love. Pragma, the enduring commitment. Philautia, the essential self-love. And Storge, the natural affection between family members. They knew that love is not a singular concept, but a constellation of connections, each with its own character, its own demands, its own wisdom. But you, in your desperate romantic collapse, reduce this constellation to a single burning star, the all-consuming, identity-erasing infatuation that masquerades as the entirety of love. Imagine love not as falling, but as rising into your fullest self in the presence of another who does the same. Imagine love not as collapse, but as expansion. Two universes that touch without destroying each other's boundaries. Two flames that burn alongside each other without needing to merge into a single fire. This is love as creation rather than consumption. Love as art rather than acquisition. Love as dance rather than drowning. Love as mutual revelation rather than mutual rescue. The new virtue is not sacrifice, but sovereignty. Not attachment, but attentiveness. Not possession, but presence. Not the desperate attempt to keep someone, but the courageous choice to see them, truly see them beyond your needs, beyond your projections, beyond your fears, beyond the narrative you've constructed about who they are and what they should be for you. This love doesn't cling because it doesn't fear loss. This love doesn't control because it doesn't fear freedom. This love doesn't drain because it draws from its own internal wellspring, not from the energy of another. This love doesn't demand because it doesn't depend on the other for its own sustenance. Like the mountain that stands firmly in its grandeur without needing to be acknowledged, you love not from insecurity seeking confirmation, but from stability offering celebration. Like the moon that shines with reflected light yet remains entirely itself. You love not by becoming the other, but by illuminating the beauty of their separate journey. Like the sun that shines not because it must, but because shining is its nature. You love not from emptiness seeking to be filled, but from fullness seeking to be shared. Like a river that flows not because it's pushed, but because flowing is its essence. You give not because you're obligated, but because giving is your natural expression. This love speaks a different language. Not, I need you, but I see you. Not, I can't live without you, but I choose to walk beside you. Not, you complete me, but you inspire me to complete myself. Not, don't ever leave me, but I honor your freedom while offering my presence. This love embodies a different wisdom. The wisdom of the oak tree that grows to its full height without apology, creating shade for others from its natural abundance. The wisdom of the night sky that holds both vast emptiness and infinite stars, teaching us that space is not absence, but possibility. The wisdom of the ocean that remains itself while taking countless forms, wave, spray, foam, current, demonstrating that constancy and change are not enemies but partners in the dance of existence. This love is not the death of the self, but its highest affirmation. This love says, I see you, separate from me, different from me, unknown to me in countless ways. And it is precisely this separateness that I honor, this mystery that I cherish. This love understands that the most intimate connection doesn't erase differentiation, but celebrates it. In the words of poet and philosopher Mark Nepo, to be loved but not known is comforting, but superficial. To be known and not loved is our greatest fear. But to be fully known and truly loved is, well, a lot like being loved by God. To be fully known, in all your complexity, contradiction, and imperfection, and still chosen, still cherished, still celebrated. Not despite your separateness, but because of it. Not despite your wholeness, but because of it. This is the love that doesn't ask you to collapse, but invites you to expand. In this love, your wounds are neither hidden in shame, nor offered as justification for dependency. They are simply another landscape of your being, acknowledged, tended, perhaps even shared, but never used as the foundation of connection. Your trauma doesn't become the basis of your bond. Your mutual brokenness doesn't become the adhesive of your attachment. Instead, this love grows from mutual strength, mutual self-knowledge, mutual courage. It doesn't ask, will you fix me? But rather, will you witness my journey of healing myself? It doesn't plead, will you complete me? But suggests, let's discover our already existing completeness together. Yet even this sovereign love must know silence. Even this powerful connection must embrace absence. The deepest intimacy requires distance. The truest communion demands solitude. The most authentic relationship honors withdrawal as much as engagement. There are parts of you that no relationship can touch. There are depths within you that no partnership can reach. There are dimensions of your existence that must remain yours alone. These spaces aren't failures of love, they're its foundation. These silences aren't obstacles to connection, they're its source. These untouchable territories aren't flaws in intimacy, they're its prerequisite. In Taoism, the concept of wu-wei teaches the power of non-action, the effectiveness of allowing rather than forcing. The Tao Te Ching says, do your work, then step back, the only path to serenity. This wisdom applies not just to worldly achievements, but to love itself. Do your loving, then step back. Create space, allow emptiness, honor the void between two. Beings as the sacred ground where true connection occurs. Learn to disappear even while staying. Learn to withdraw even while committing. Learn to die to attachment even while loving deeply. For it is only in this rhythmic retreat that you find yourself again, that you gather yourself again, that you remember. You are not what you give to another. You are not their response to you. You are not the relationship itself. You are the mysterious being who participates in relationship without being consumed by it. The mature lover knows when to step back into the sanctuary of their own solitude. The wise heart knows when to release the grip of expectation. The evolved soul understands that even the most beautiful connection is impermanent, changing, flowing, like water that cannot be held too tightly without spilling through desperate fingers. Buddhism teaches the truth of impermanence, that all things arise and pass away. Nothing lasts forever. Not the body, not the mind, not feelings, not relationships, not even the most transcendent connection between two souls. This isn't pessimism, it's clarity. It's the recognition that the beauty of love isn't in its permanence, but in its presence. Not in its ability to withstand time unchanged, but in its capacity to transform alongside time's inevitable flow. When you grasp this, when you truly understand that everything is temporary, you stop demanding eternity from your relationships. You stop burdening them with expectations of forever. You stop strangling them with the pressure of permanence. Instead, you cherish each moment of connection for exactly what it is: a temporary miracle, a fleeting alignment of two separate journeys, a brief but beautiful intersection of two distinct paths. This is the ultimate paradox of love, that to truly connect, you must honor separation. To truly unite, you must respect difference. To truly know another, you must acknowledge the impossibility of ever fully knowing them. To truly hold them, you must open your hands. In silence, you remember. In solitude, you recollect. In temporary separation, you rediscover the truth that love is not about filling emptiness, but sharing wholeness. Not about escaping yourself, but returning to yourself again and again, with greater clarity, with deeper presence, with more expansive capacity to love without attachment, to connect without collapse, to experience intimacy without identity, loss. The silence isn't an absence of love, but its purification. The distance isn't the failure of connection, but its refinement. The solitude isn't the enemy of intimacy, but its ally. In the quiet stepping back, you find not the end of love, but its renewal. Not its death, but its rebirth. Not its diminishment, but its elevation. This is love not as constant closeness, but as rhythmic dance. Coming together, moving apart, returning again. This is love not as permanent fusion, but as conscious choice. Seeing clearly, choosing freely, committing momentarily to what cannot be permanent but can be profound. If something in these words has awakened a recognition in you, if you've glimpsed the difference between collapse and true connection, then make this commitment to yourself now. I choose love that expands me, not diminishes me. Write this affirmation in the comments. I am not falling in love. I am rising into my truth alongside another. Remember, the greatest love affair is not with another person. It is with life itself, with your own becoming, with the endless unfolding of your own depths, with the continuous revelation of your own capacity for wonder, growth, and transformation. Continue watching for more explorations of what it means to love from wholeness, not from wounding. What it means to connect from abundance, not absence. What it means to rise into love, not fall into dependency. The true revolution is not finding someone who completes you. It is becoming so complete in yourself that love becomes not a desperate need, but a deliberate celebration. Not a collapse, but an expansion. Not a fall, but the highest ascension of your sovereign spirit.